Do you want to build elegant applications? Something that you can just ship out and actually make money on? Yeah. You heard me right. Maybe you have been sitting for hours and trying to learn how to code, and I really can feel the same way that you're feeling right now if you are in that situation, and that's probably why you clicked on this video, because the title said how you can build apps incredibly fast. And when I say incredibly fast, you can take that with a grain of salt, but once you learn it, it's going to be incredibly fast. Believe me. We're going to dive into something called FlutterFlow, which uses the language Flutter, hence the name FlutterFlow, but we're going to take a different approach into building mobile applications. We're not going to code, we're actually going to do as much as we can just using the visual editor as you see here. Who am I? My name is Nikolai. I'm the host on this channel here. I run my own company called OneDev Consultancy. If you have any questions, you can email me at Nikolai, Nicolai, at onedevconsultancy.com. And I'm always open to collaborating with other YouTubers. So just put in that email and we can have a chat about it. But for now, you want to learn how to build something awesome and I convinced you enough? Well, let's go. So let's go to flutterflow.io. I guess you're able to sign up for a free account. Once you have signed up, you will see that you're logged in. I have the Pro membership and you can see all the applications that I've been playing around with, and some of these are actually applications that I am making money on. Let's take a look at the Create New. That's the one we are interested in for now. The first thing that meets your eye is Create Project, because we want to build quickly, and therefore we can just quickly use something called a template in FlutterFlow. So you see here blank app, which is quite boring, but we do have Meal Planner, Fin Wallet, FlutterMat, Threads.io Social, which is a freaking social marketplace, or the Threads thing that Facebook built. It's basically built for you here. What you need to do is just hook it up, use Firebase or Supabase, and it's ready to go, which is pretty awesome. You see Up Homes, which is like a listing, it's integrated chats, authentication, reviews on listings, etc. We can take a look at the blank for now, just to get familiar with things. So let's just create a test project. Let's launch it. You see it take a little bit of time, but it goes pretty fast. Welcome to FlutterFlow. I encourage you to take a look at this once you are started, but we will skip it. It will kind of show you the way it works. So now you see FlutterFlow in action. Why I'm showing you the blank project is because you are at the stage where it's too much information to grasp if we are going to dive into the other templates. We need to learn wax on, wax off. So now we're going to look at the pane here on the left side. You see it says build on the top, widget palette, and something called widget tree. See the widget tree, if you are familiar with Flutter, then you will see that there are pages up here, and here is the column, the app bar, and the text. You see on the app bar, we can click here and we can actually change just easily like that, the back arrow and stuff like that. And we can even go in and change the background color without changing any code. So let's just change it to third play or whatever. And that's for the page, but for the app bar, we need to click on the app bar and change the background color there instead. So let's do that, search play or whatever it's called. And now you see the app bar is changed. Now we can go to the settings pane, just take a look at it. See it says test project, my company test project, which is fine. You see it says initial page. This is basically the entry page of the application, which means that if we go up here and we basically launch the application, we can do that by clicking on play. We will wait a little bit for it to run, but then you will see the initial application will start at the screen that we were at. The visual application editor shows us that screen, which is here, and that's the home page. Now let's just wait for it to launch. You can do that same thing on your own. Now let's just take a look at some other things here while we are playing around. You see it says Firestore, no collections created. This is a quite nice integration with something called Firebase, which you are probably familiar with or have heard about at least. And we are able to set up data scheme directly here, which we can transition into Firebase with the click of a button once you really get into it. We can see we have something called API calls. So the API call is where we can set up the application to talk to something called the backend. If you're familiar with programming, backend is usually what happens behind the monitor, now behind the visual parts. So if you have a login form, you will see somebody clicking on a form and entering their passwords and email. But the backend is actually what's checking if the password is correct, if it has the correct encryption, and stores it correctly so that the user is entered into the database. You can think about something called JSON or XML, which was used more before. We are basically sending that data without any visual parts because we don't need it. We need the information. So let's say that we were building a bird API. Then we could have like different type of bird sounds, and we could call the API for different sounds. And especially if we called, I don't know any bird names, but kind of get the idea. Let's say a chipmunk or something like that. Then you will be able to get that specific bird with that specific sound. All right, so now we can take a look at the media assets, which is where we can store media, upload media, and we can use it in FlutterFlow. So now I probably have built the project, as you can see here, page title. Let's just go in and change the page title to something else. Take a look. So we go into the app bar. We see it says page title here. This we can actually change to be a variable. So if we have logged in now as a user, I'm just going to quickly show you how it could work. So you can click here, then you can go to basically something will show up later on when we do stuff. But we do have something called global properties, which has some information. But if the user was authenticated now and he was logged in, we could actually get the user's name right here. I just want to show you something called custom function. I'm not going to dive into it, but we can create a function which could take the user and could do a bunch of stuff with it and could return a result. And then we could basically do some type of code. But I will show you later on that we don't need necessarily to know about code. We can use AI as well for that. All right, so we change the page title to Hello World. That's quite usual example in programming. But since we're not programming, I think it will be hello, no code. Now we can just click here and we can go to the refresh type of thing. So there should be like a application here where you can actually refresh it. Let's go into the test project. This is this view full screen here. It's totally fine. And then we can try to find the refresh thing, can compile it again, and it should be able to do it. And we will wait a little bit and now it should start again. So if it doesn't, click here and we will just refresh it. There are some buttons I will show later on where you can refresh a local project as well. All right, so let's dive a little bit more into the settings pane. So the settings pane, we do have app settings, authentication, push notifications, mobile development, web publishing, Stripe, Braintree. Yeah, you got it. There are so many integrations here that you can use. Even Gemini, which are AI, we can integrate that into our app. And we can also take a look at the app bar. Here we can say if we want to show the app bar in different type of styling. And I just encourage you to play around with this. Just play around with it and you will start to understand. We can even create a walkthrough for the user, which is a new feature that has come not so long ago. You can see we have collaboration as well if we do have a team project, which means we can invite other users, and I believe that's paid. So if we invite somebody, I guess that they could kind of see the project, but if they want to do something, I think that's a paid feature as well. All right, I think that's kind of it for now. Want you to play around with this, get familiar with it, just see it, just feel it. Now he will probably not understand so much, but you need to have exposure because that will be so much easier. So I encourage you to actually use 10-15 minutes, have some music on your phone and just look at the pages, play around, click here and there, and kind of imagine, okay, what are we going to build, and so on. Now we can take a look at the FlutterFlow and let's see, we're building your app. Take some time here. All right, you see it says hello, no code. Now I want to show you something before we end this video. So you can see up here, there's a button, and this is a paid feature, but you have view code, which means I told you in the beginning we don't code, right? But if you do, you can actually see the whole code here. And before, when you were going to copy this into Flutter, it would complain because there are some packages from FlutterFlow. But now it's actually possible to just install those packages and you have it working. We can even take a look at the model, which we haven't done so much yet, but I really like this new nested view where you have widget and model, so you can separate the logic. We do have something called Firestore index JSON, which we haven't done so much about, and the pubspec YAML. You don't need to care anything about these guys. Actually, you don't even need to look at it. But to just get started and understand how it kind of works behind the scenes, you can just get familiar with it. But I promise you guys, we are not going to do anything. Now I'm going to show you something really cool. You see it says new page here, new component, but there's even something called AI here. Create with AI. Okay, so it says like enter your prompt here to generate a page. So we will say create a social media page with a feeds of users' posts. Well, let's see if FlutterFlow AI is up to the par. It says it's in alpha here, but let's just see. Let's click on generate and see what happens. Generating page. It's pretty cool though, and I'm not even trying to emphasize on this. It's really cool from my heart that you can just use AI, build something, put in a prompt, and boom, you have a page. But you need to know how we can wire it up. So it's not magic, it's not going automatically, but at least you have a really cool starting point, in my opinion. In the meantime, we can take a look at something called Figma, which I like to use when I'm designing applications. Even though you don't know Figma, it's not that hard to get to know it, and I will show you a little bit about it as well. We see kind of here where we're going. Here we have something nice. We have a random type of template for an app. Okay, so if this is not up to the par, we could definitely use Figma and make the whole design ourselves. But I want to show you later on that it's not that hard to implement it as well when using Figma and having to transition it over to FlutterFlow, because it's kind of clicky, not so much of programming. Oh, wow. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. We do have a social media page, which actually shows the icon of the user that are logged in. And now you might say, okay, that's cool and everything, but this is a lot of work. I need to wire the whole thing up with the user. It's not that hard, believe me. You can change some colors here just to see, and also the fonts. You see it kind of changes as well. Yeah, kind of like this font. And you see it's like, comment, share, had a great time at the beach. Pretty awesome. Let's insert this page. Let's give it social media. If this is a social media application, we don't need to write social media. So we can say like users feed, just like that. We should actually change the users to be a capital one on the beginning. So users feed, do you want to update the entire project team? Yeah, why not? Because we want a similar color as this page. So let's do it. Create a page. Wow, it's not that bad. So now we do have pages, homepage here, users feed here, but we do have a page built by AI, which looks really sleek and elegant. And you might ask now, okay, how can we wire up this icon here on Splash Photo? So if we go to this link, we can actually get this photo, but that wouldn't work in a real world application because we don't want to show this photo all the time for all the people who are logged in. That doesn't make sense. So what do we do then instead? That's the part where we're actually wiring it up. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how we can take this social media type of application where we're now starting to create, and we're actually going to hook it up to Firebase in the beginning. We're going to go to the place where it says data types. It says no collections created. We can actually create a collection, just a test collection for now. Let's just say like posts or whatever. You want to see something. Generate with AI here also. So now I can actually generate with AI. So create users posts table for social media application. You can go with that. Let's just click on enter. But now guys, you need to click on the next video because we're going to continue on this in the next video. But here's a sneak peek. You get user, title, content, image path, likes, date created. Wow. Okay, that was it for the FlutterFlow introduction for beginners. Kind of a bit more intermediate at the end here, but I wanted to touch upon all of the cool features that you can use in order to build something that you want to ship out to the public, like a social media app, like an MP3 player, calculator, task list, whatever you have in your mind. You can actually use FlutterFlow for most of this. So let's continue with the rest of the series in the next video. Hope you enjoy FlutterFlow and building along with me. Let's build something great together.